And now I am privileged to welcome Bhargav Bhatt, who is a research engineer at the Web3 Foundation. And his talk is pretty interesting. Light clients, the critical path to decentralization. I think all of you who have used Web3 wallets understand that a decent light client that has an outstanding UI and UX is critical to user adoption. So this is going to be a really interesting talk. Just to reiterate, we are 15 minutes behind, so we will be finishing the first half of this session at 1:15 p.m. and then pick it back up at 2 p.m. All right. Bhargav, are you ready?
Slides don't have the transitions. I'll just use
Okay, so we're just waiting for a quick change of laptop. While we do that, I am going to ask if Damien Strazak is here. Is Damien Strazak here? All right, great. I'm going to come and find you shortly. And Ludwig of Crust. Ludwig, are you here yet? No, so we've got to look out for Ludwig, who is our final speaker before lunch. After lunch, we have Moonbeam, Manta, Fala Network, Apollon, Stellar Swap still coming, Hydra DX as well. So the Polkadot stage is cooking today. Looking forward to that. I'm going to be speaking tomorrow. Please join me for that so that I don't, talk to the cameras only. That's going to be at 4 p.m. I'm going to be talking about how NFTs can grow your users' experience and enhance their experience on your platform. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you 4 o'clock tomorrow on this stage. Some other ones to look forward to are Alberto from Moonbeam is actually speaking before me. We also have a panel tomorrow with Bifrost, Parity, Hydra DX. Anish is going to be with us for that as well. I'm going to be asking about liquid staking, the staple that fuels ecosystem growth. So I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. That's at lunchtime. No, I apologize. It's actually on Thursday at lunchtime. All right. So are you winning, Bhargav? Almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. So we're now currently 4 minutes behind. So we're 4 on top of the 15. So that makes us 19 minutes behind. Okay, so we're now going to be finishing at 19 past 1 p.m. Okay. I'm looking forward to Damien's talk, actually, a little bit later on. I met your colleague from Inc. when I was in Nairobi, Kenya. I don't know if he told you about that. So I'm looking forward to hearing about safe, fun, and efficient smart contracts in Inc. Coming up after this one from Bhargav. Bhargav, of course, is a research engineer at the Web3 Foundation. All right, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Bhargav Bhatt.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bhargav. I'm part of the research and specifications team at the Web3 Foundation. Today, I will be talking about light clients and how light clients solve the problem of last-mile decentralization in blockchain networks, and how Polkadot is leading the space in this field. So let's take a step back and look at traditional Web3, Web2 architectures. So you can think of your favorite social media platform or your online banking service. Usually the way it's set up is a server client architecture. So you have a centralized server, and the way you interact with the services through this centralized server. But one of many problems with this architecture is there is a single point of failure. So if there is an issue with the centralized server, then the whole system collapses. Web3 so the question is, what does it take to build an unstoppable service or app, right? And this is exactly where Web3 comes to rescue, because Web3 eliminates this single point of failure. The network is basically peer-to-peer, and you have baked in guarantees of Byzantine fault tolerance and security just because of the network being peer-to-peer. But what if the user wants to interact with this blockchain network, right? So think of the user as a wallet or a user interface like Polkadot.js. Most of the times, as it stands now, the interaction is through a third-party RPC node, because the user interface is not able to run a full node on its own. So it has to rely on these third-party RPC nodes to interact with the network. And this brings in a layer of trust and centralization, which is not ideal. So blockchain networks are decentralized, but blockchain user interfaces are still centralized. On the one hand, you have validators and infrastructure providers. So they are running the decentralized peer-to-peer network, but running this requires like knowledge to participate in. On the other hand, you have end users who are not necessarily tech savvy, and they just want the convenience of using the service through an app or a web page. And to connect them, as it stands now, there are third-party intermediaries who are centralized. And there are several issues with centralization, but I would like to point the three main issues here. The first and foremost issue is the possibility of censorship or hijacking. So the transactions that you want to put into the chain may be censored by these third-party nodes. The other is reliability, because these are again like centralized services. So if it goes down, then you may not be able to interact with the network. And the third issue is a more subtle one. It's like front running. Since these RPC node providers have information of what potential transactions are going to be added onto the chain, they might front run you for their own economic incentives and gains. There are several cases of this already happening, right? So the gateway for Polygon was down because the RPC provider's DNS was hijacked. Then in April 2022, MetaMask and Ethereum apps were down because Infura, which was RPC provider, had outages. And at one point, more than 70% of Ethereum's transactions was going through Infura's infrastructure. So the question is, can the UI interact with the blockchain directly and trustlessly, right? And this is exactly where light clients come into picture, because light clients are pieces of software that are embedded within the user interface, and they let you directly interact with the network in a trustless manner. So let me just give a brief overview of light clients in action. Okay, this is pretty bad. So let's assume that you have like a light client running on one of the columns here and the network on the other side. So initially, the light client syncs with the network, and this sync happens within seconds. And the next stage is the light client asks a query. For example, it asks what's the balance in a particular account X. The network then responds back with the answer, but along with the answer, there is a proof attached to the response. And then the light client can independently verify whether the answer it was given was correct or not by using this proof, because it had already synced with the network. So to summarize, there are three ways of interacting with the blockchain network, right? So either you run a node yourself locally, but then, so the good point is that it's decentralized and secure, but the issue is it's not convenient, because, and the other point is it's running a node locally is also resource intensive. The other way is to use third-party RPC nodes. Here, you lose out on security and decentralization, but it's, of course, very convenient to interact with the chain. Light clients kind of bring the best of both worlds, where you have the guarantees of decentralization and security, while also being convenient because the sync happens in seconds. It can run in low resource environments like browser extensions, mobile apps, and even on-chain, basically on-chain on a different blockchain. So now that we've kind of established like that light clients are cool and need of the hour, I would want to shed some light on what are the offerings that Polkadot has and how you can build like unstoppable dApps using Substrate. So Polkadot was designed keeping light clients in mind. So it treats light clients as first-class citizens, as validators or full nodes. And this design basically lets you develop apps much quickly. So to make it easier for developers, the light clients are divided into two components. So one of them is called small-dot. So this is the core light client engine, basically, which is in Rust, and it compiles to a WASM light node. And then there is a JavaScript wrapper around this light client engine, and that lets you, it's called small-dot, it's called Substrate Connect, and that lets you connect to the chain and integrate your dApps with Substrate Connect. So you can actually play around with Substrate Connect right now. So you just go to like polkadot.js.org, and on the left-hand side, you can set you can set the way you interact with the blockchain through Light Client, which is right now in experimental phase. And with this, you are not going through any third-party RPC provider, but you are directly interacting with the chain itself. Yeah. So this has been embraced by the community, right? So the ecosystem is really adapting this new technology. And here's a tweet by Gav where he talks about how light clients are even outperforming RPC node when it comes to performance. And it is being adopted by the ecosystem where A-Star is now allowing light clients to interact with their dApps. And some of the wallets like Talisman and Nova also have a light client support. So what's coming up next? So we have a protocol called Beefy, which is basically a finality gadget on top of Grandpa that the Polkadot blockchain uses. This is mainly to make the verification on the light client side more efficient. So this is going to make light clients only faster. And there is some fantastic research being done on using BLS signatures and snarks for even blazingly fast light clients. And one of the clear applications of these new protocols will be in building bridges between Polkadot and Ethereum, where we will have a trustless bridge where there's a light client of Polkadot running on Ethereum and a light client of Ethereum running on the Polkadot side. You can have if you want to get more technical details of the light client, you can have a look at the protocol spec, where we talk more about or like specify the core components of the protocol, like the warp sync and so on. And there are actually more implementations in the pipeline. This is something that the Web3 Foundation really pushes for, to have client diversity. And right now there's alternate implementation for light clients in Java being developed by LimeChain, which is quite close to completion. So less trust and more truth. So these are the two phrases which have been really the guiding principles when it comes to evolving the Polkadot ecosystem. And I would want to conclude by saying that light clients are a step in the right direction towards this. Thank you.
Great
Any
job, man.
questions?
That was well in time. Any questions? We do have time for some questions. If anyone has a question. Okay, going, gone. Okay. Thank you so much, Bhargav. One more round of applause for Bhargav of the Web3 Foundation. Thank you. Gave us back 4 minutes, bro. Well done. I think he deserves a round of applause for giving us back 4 minutes. Well done.